Welcome to A Game of Ice and Fire, a video series devoted to A Song of Ice and Fire wargame by Cool Mini or Not. We cover all aspects of the hobby with tactics and list build videos, painting tutorials of varying levels, and battle reports. Well, welcome to the Joffrey vs. Jon Snow battle report again. The last video we uploaded had some real hard audio issues, so we're starting again.
Doing it live.
Yep, this is the same Joffrey list from my tactics video that I've posted. No changes from that whatsoever. We are playing on the Winds of Winter scenario. And John, it looks like you've got the starter box plus a Sworn Brother unit, and then a couple
And then
recruiters?
I got a Gren.
And a
Yep,
Gren,
and
yeah.
a couple recruiters.
And Craster for what it's worth.
And a Craster for what it's worth, which might as well be in the starter box.
Yeah, it would be nice.
And because Bowen goes right onto the tactics, because I don't care about anything else up there so much. I learned that in the last game with you. If you force me to take top of one like you did this time,
yeah, you try to get the jump, right?
I'm gonna get the tactics, right? Like,
yep. You try to get the jump on the card production.
Yeah, I like being, I love taking horses top of one as well, but tactics. I rely so much on those vows, and I had no John cards, I believe, in my starting hand. Or maybe we didn't actually start with a hand, and that's why I'm like, oh, I need cards.
Yeah, we didn't start with a hand, and you were like, oh, I put Bowen down on the tactics. Oh, I get to draw cards normally too, and then you ended up having a massive grip here. So
yep.
right
I
away,
felt a
I'm
lot
coming
better
out.
about
that. Right away, I played a card. I think it was Intrigue and Subterfuge to shut off Craster, and I should have shut off Bowen because Craster, he's good, but not as good as Bowen, and I think I just wasn't paying attention to my hand. So you decided to crown zap that unit on the top of knights that I used the maneuver on. And then I just responded in kind with putting Cersei on the coin to get them healed back up.
Yep.
So no reason to take the swords for me.
Yep. And that sucked. I was not happy with that. Like, you forced me to make a crown zap, and then the least you could do is let the wound stay, Brian.
That's the least you could do. So you get to use my new favorite purpose for dogs in the game, which is just move forward.
Attack.
Yep, just do my free maneuver and then punch the wall or the palisade. So it makes it really interesting in how you put down palisades now, because I used to put them down to block people's deployment or split it, but now it's like they almost seem like they're better off further up in the table where it's not so easy to do something like that.
If you put it like 7.5 inches up from starting deployment, at least then the doggy can't do it on its first activation, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because then if you're out of 8 inches, you can't do it.
Yeah. Is it 8 or is it 7? Because I thought that it was a 1-inch range on the attack.
I swear it was a 2-inch thing. Like, you had to be 2 inches away from it to kill it.
You read it more recently than I did.
I could be wrong, but that wouldn't be the first time. So over up here, we're kind of monkeying with the Knights of Casterly Rock and those Sworn Brothers. Just you're wanting to try and make it so that if I decide to go for a charge over this wall, it's going to be a harder one for me to make.
Yeah, like a 5 or a 6. And I'm like, what? I'll take it.
Yeah, and over a wall, I'm not getting a whole lot of that either. So I'm gonna table the activation for the top knights and end up just kind of settling. I didn't get the bottom set of knights too far up the table. I just kind of wanted to set them up to keep their options open for next turn, because I don't have a ton of activations in this list, and those Knights of Casterly Rock are supposed to do a bunch of work, and they're extremely flexible, and I think that's what you need on Winds of Winter, is really flexible list.
Oh, for sure. And at this point, I'm just debating. You have the top of 2. Something's getting charged, and I think maybe I can force where that charge is going to come from.
And you're like, fine, I'm just going to give you
whatever,
my vets.
Going all the way forward, because I want options too, Brian.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is, like,
objective just in case.
Well, with your veterans, kind of like not that they like taking a Casterly or a Knights of Casterly Rock charge, but they can absorb it decently. So they're not too worried about just saying, here's this unit, charge it or it'll charge you. You're kind
Yeah,
of
they're gonna.
forcing my activation.
And then if you do charge it, I should probably be on your side right here, so
Mhm.
I'll probably come into the side.
Yeah, and I do need to. I played really cautious with Joffrey because uh, the goal of this list is to use the knights and the mountain and the crossbows to stop the things that can really do damage to Joffrey's unit. The
Yeah.
unfortunate thing about this is that everything in your list can do a lot of damage to Joffrey's unit. So,
Yeah, I almost because you were discussing that you have a banner that lets you make a free maneuver,
mhm.
and I really honestly did expect you to pop that banner to get it to charge on me to stop me from getting the charge on you.
Well, yeah, there's
And
definitely a lot of learning that needs to be done with this list, but right now I'm still really cautious about where Joffrey goes and what he does because I'm extremely apprehensive with a 3+ save. I know that it's a good number, but against Sundering, we're talking about coin flips, and I'm already down 4 models in that unit because they only have 8 wounds. So
yeah,
it's really hard for me to want to try and commit that and just like uh, Rambo him out there when there's a good chance that, especially with those 2 units in the middle, he might not really survive it.
yeah, you kind of have to see if I'm going to come into you first. That way, there you can then activate them and shift to 100% to stop that second unit from coming in.
Yeah, and I honestly, the mountain went to the objective because I thought, well, this way, if next turn there's some incentive to take objectives, I can have the mountain there ready to go. But maybe the mountain should have got in front of them because he can absorb a charge from those guys, maybe at a 3+.
Yeah,
So the last activation of that turn was me throwing those Knights of Casterly Rock way up on the top, and the reason being is that in my hand I have a 4-point card, and it's
right here.
if
Or no,
you're
we just flipped it.
oh no, that one is the main one for the round,
Yep.
which it's a variable score one. I feel like it was
Is it the
you.
horse and the missive or whatever?
It's got one of the. It could be one of. It could be that one where you score points for controlling those. Um,
But
yeah, I can't remember which one it actually was. It might not have been a really impactful one now that I think about it. Um, at any rate, so I have the 4-point card in my hand is if I have a unit in your deployment zone unengaged, I gain 4 points. Uh, I'm trying to facilitate that by also taking out a unit while I'm here. So I play one of Joffrey's cards, You Will Obey Me. And that cranks the Knights of Casterly Rock up to throwing 11 dice on the charge. And if I'm not mistaken,
13 wounds
I
or
force you
13
to roll
heads?
13, yeah, saves. And Sundering on the side does a massive amount of work to that unit.
Yeah, as you can see, it took all but two of them.
And
And I'm
we
like,
still have a
ouchie.
panic test on top of this.
And then panic test happens. Well,
And
there's
you
the
fail
unit.
that pretty poorly.
Yep.
So with
And
the amount of cards you have in your hand,
I have one of
it's
John's cards to say panic test and I stay. And I do.
yep. So you pass it, and I'm not super happy about this. I kind of the way that I like to play against, or my philosophy for playing against Night's Watch is you almost have to assume they have every single card that's available to them at any time because their hand fills up so quickly. And I was really hoping you didn't have that card, but I was like, okay, I have a backup plan if this happens.
Yeah, and at this moment, I've got Amon in my hands, and I'm like, I have to go with the swords, otherwise I lose this unit, right?
Exactly.
And so three guys go back in, and I guess I'm going to, swing those dice. And then this is when we realized that we didn't put the tokens down for I am the king or you will obey or whatever it was.
Yep. And I think you
So
put
we
the
threw
weaken
those down.
and we put the weaken token on Joffrey's unit, and I still haven't looked this up because I'm just a bad person. But I can't. I think that the weaken token is supposed to go on the Casterly Rock unit, and not them, but I'll take a look real quick.
Yeah, and
So
I really, really would have rather not had it on them anyway.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
looking at the cards in my hand, I forgot that Joffrey's unit was fearless, so I couldn't put the panic token on them or a panic token on them.
Yeah,
And
definitely. The Casterly Rock unit should have become weakened, and then you get to choose which one becomes panicked.
yeah,
So definitely some learning room with this list. So
yep,
I decide to take. You took the swords away from me, which I'm not happy about. So I decide to try and have my contingency plan of shooting the Sworn Brothers off of the Knights of Casterly Rock,
and
and all 7
6.
shots hit. Or
I
no,
thought it was
6
6.
shots. Yep, 6 shots. You're right.
And then I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure I play the shield in the darkness, or
Shield that guards the realms of men. And
yep.
you block
So
one of those hits, so you've got 5 saves at -1 still.
yep, which was painful, and
But you still do pretty well on those saves. And you, well, when I say pretty
yeah,
well, the unit stayed in play. So Amon's done his thing, and that unit has 1 guy left in it, and the other card that I have in my hand that I and it's really like I'm kind of getting a slightly frustrated with how much work I've got to put in that unit on top, because the other card in my hand is gain 2 points if you destroyed a unit that hasn't activated this turn. So if John, or if you, I'm sorry, as long as you don't activate that unit, I'm happy.
yeah. And at this point, I I'm like, all right, you have nothing else that can attack me. Uh, this unit's fine. I actually made it through the round. This is the first time I haven't lost a unit on the top of 2. Go me!
I think
And
that's
like,
another thing for Night's Watch is if you can take a unit early, the game gets way better.
and so my thought process here is, well, instead of activating them, I should just take the charge away from you over here. And so I'm pointing at the bottom cards, and I'm like, yeah, I should do that. That's a good plan.
Yep, because I've decided to really put a lot of effort into trying to take that unit on the top out. So you're like, fine, you didn't charge my veterans, I'm going to charge you. And you make it, no problems.
Yep. And so we go in. I get what, 9 dice?
Yeah,
Because
because you got
Gren.
Gren in there. It looks like you left one of your dice behind.
Yeah, that's a true statement. I definitely left one of those dice behind.
So much for Gren. So I play Wealth of the Rock here because I do want to make sure that I keep as many of these as I can. And it looks like I only take 1 wound out of that. So Wealth of
Yep.
the Rock really gave me a good benefit there. I also pass my
Fantastic
morale
morale.
test, and that triggers Lannister supremacy.
Which,
You
ouch,
want
again.
you roll double
Snake
ones,
eyes again.
so you lose 4 guys because you are within the tree.
Yep.
So
We are
now I'm
fighting
going
on
for
the
that
tree.
unit. I'm like,
And
thank
then
you
I'm
for
like,
not activating it.
Nike's crown zap. Oh, I should have taken that. And I failed.
Yep, fail by
By
1.
1.
By 1. So you're checking to see if you got anything you can do to save you on that.
And I'm like, yeah, I do. Well, not save myself, I guess. I played the Sword in the Darkness.
Yep.
No. And Now His Watch has ended. I played
Yep.
as Now His Watch has ended, so I get to pick up the card, and I get to pick up an NCU or an activation. So I'm like, I'm just gonna pick
Yeah,
up
take the
Amon
swords again.
and put him back on the swords, because then I get 2 guys back, and
And
I
you
get
get
to
to swing.
attack. So
Yep,
it's just like I would
you
have
get
removed that
full ranks,
activation.
and yep, just another activation on them. And this time you have all the dice they're supposed to roll.
Yeah,
But it didn't look like you hit very well on
I
that
hit
one.
5. Is what I think I just read.
Oh, it looks
And
like 6.
I had 1/6, I think, is what happened there, and they
Yeah,
have
that
crit
could be
blow.
accurate. So I'm taking a couple wounds here. So I play one of Joffrey's other cards where I think this is I Am the King. Is that
Yep.
right?
You were taking 3, and then you blocked all 3.
Yep, and I really like the way that card works is that you roll your defense saves first, and then you get to try and block D3, which I think is
Yeah.
super cool. Unfortunately, they become vulnerable. They're already weakened, and you choose for them to become panicked. So it's almost like I kind of have a good idea of what card is sitting in your hand to score off of since you focused on that unit so much.
Yep, and then I passed my Lannister supremacy that time,
Yep.
which I
And
was pretty stoked for.
I did try to move the Knights of Casterly Rock up top, but then I remembered that it was a crown zap that got them and not an attack, so I left that alone. Um, so I know that I've got 6 points pocketed this turn. Like that's just gonna happen because there's nothing that can get to those upper Casterly Rock Knights. So I do drop Cersei down to heal the 1 wound off of the Knights on the bottom screen. But importantly,
You
and I
mean
think I missed
Pycelle?
this the last time. Oh yeah, Pycelle. I think I missed this last time, but I did remove the weaken condition, and it's just now that you decided to put it back on. So I was like, son of a gun.
Yep,
I couldn't. I thought I had this figured out.
because yeah, I took the tactics for that, right?
Yep. And this is another maybe not so great play on my part. I did put Pycelle to try and get that condition token off. I didn't really like. I know what the tactics position does, or the missive. I know what it does, and I just didn't internalize that if I remove the token, you're just going to put it back on. So instead, I shift the Casterly Rock unit down to 50% and swing at you with 6. You counterattack me back, which I think I take another wound for, but you
Yep.
don't lose anything out of that. So what I really should have done here is put Pycelle on the maneuver position and retreated the Casterly Rock unit out so that I could charge in again. I'll still have weakened on me, but at least I get 9 dice with the Sundering and the critical blow. So that was just an unfortunate call on my part, where I could have gotten a little bit more momentum than what I
Yeah,
actually
so
did.
then I chose to take it and retreat backwards.
Yep.
And I think one of the reasons why you didn't take it when we were talking during the game was you were thinking that the mountain was going to be able to get into that unit's side, and I don't know why.
I
Or
don't. Yeah, I'm not
yeah,
sure if that was quite where we were going with it, because I know that the mountain, like he doesn't, he could charge you in the back and he doesn't care. It's just less of a
yeah.
panic check or whatever. So I do think it was really the logic that I didn't want you to score the condition token card,
Oh, okay.
and I had a brain fart and forgot the tactics position was still open, because at least this way, if I charge in and you've got all 3 of those conditions on me, there's a good chance that you just say, no, I don't want to use the weaken token. And then I can be like, well, okay. You know what I mean? Because I think
Yeah,
you'd
yeah,
rather
yeah. No, that makes
take
total
the
sense.
charge. Yeah, take the charge uh, than lose out on. I think that card gives you 4 points.
Uh, I thought it was three.
It could be
Maybe
3.
three, because we'll see at the end of this turn.
Yeah, we'll
Maybe.
we'll figure it out. Oh, it is 3 points.
Okay.
I kind of got all the cards sitting here in my hand. I think uh, the internet is throwing a lot of shade at the Winds of Winter scenario, and I really do think becoming familiar with these cards is the key to unlocking it and noticing when these cards are happening. Because for someone who doesn't pay attention to the deck, they just look at like, oh, you weakened, panicked, and put vulnerable on that Casterly Rock unit. Um, you just made it worthless,
Yeah,
or
that
really like
unit's
you
basically dead to me, right? Because
yeah, you mini Tywin them.
yep,
But now for me, as someone who kind of has a loose understanding of what's in the deck, I can be like, okay, I need to try and get at least some of these tokens off, or try and take advantage of the fact that you won't use any of them. So you didn't use the vulnerable token for any of the attacks that came at the Casterly Rock unit.
yep,
So I almost knew that you had that card in your hand. So I was playing into that tactics or the coin to try and get a condition off. And like I said, I just had a brain fart and was like, oh yeah, you can just put it back on.
yep. So then here I am. I'm like, all right. So I've got cards in my hand. You don't know what these cards are. I'm putting them face down so that we can math stuff out.
Yep,
I
you're
currently need a
working on it.
5 in order to get there. I put this card down. Now I need a 4 or a 6 to get there. And I put this card down. Now I need a 4. Put
Yeah,
this card
because I
down. Now I
moved
need a 3.
I moved Joffrey just to a little bit to the side because I wanted to protect myself from a charge from Sworn Brothers,
Yeah. So I was
because it's
actually going at the
pretty clear.
crossbowmen.
Yeah, I think the your initial target was Joffrey's unit here. So you
No,
make it.
with this charge right here, it was gonna be the
Oh
crossbowmen,
yeah.
right? And then I'm
Yep.
like, oh, I
And
failed
you
by an
fail it.
inch because I got
Yep.
double twos
Because
instead of threes.
yep. Because you needed a 3 to get there.
Because I think I needed uh like maybe almost a 4 to hit Joffrey's unit, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'll just go into crossbowmen because they're mean anyway.
Yeah. A 3 on 2 dice dropping the highest is like it's not super likely, but it's not unlikely. Like a
Yeah.
4 is where I'm just like I have to really want this to go for it. Um, so you gave it your best shot and you just came up a little shy, not a
Yep.
ton though. And
No, not so
the
bad.
for what it's worth, I think that card that's up right now is the main card is for every objective you control, you gain a point.
That's what this one is, and
And
so I got to end on top of an objective anyway. So not so bad.
I got real scared about Joffrey getting a charge from the other unit of Sworn Brothers. So I decided to use the mountain to kind of body block them. And this was not smart
No,
because
and
I just kind of give you the mountain and surrender a victory point for taking him off of his objective.
yes, you did.
Because like the math on the side for uh the mountain, it's not so bad. I mean, like saving on threes is okay, but then when you factor sundering in also, that is no bueno. So we figure out you can charge with Ghost if you want it. And then
'Cause I am thinking, well, if I just kill the mountain, because I do have the card in my hand for get +2 attacks
yep,
since
the
I have the
bark in the
swords.
darkness.
So I can make my Bork in the darkness happen,
Yep.
and
But Ghost is
that would
also a
kill.
super mobile model.
Yep. And so I'm like, yeah, that would kill him, and then I could maybe get that charge off onto Joffrey's unit.
Hmm.
And then we're talking, and we're like, be that greedy though? Like, I
It's
should
not a
probably
terrible
not.
idea to have Ghost go into the mountain with 4 dice, but we are
Because he's
trying to
got
figure
four
out.
wounds, right?
Yeah, he's only got 4, so it's not like he's super armored. Um, Sundering from the front, he probably survives. Sundering from the side, though, there's not a good chance
Well,
on
I
that.
mean, Ghost makes it so you don't get your saves. So I'm like, I can make it have 4 re-rolling twos.
Yep. But
So
you
we
decide
just,
to see if that unit can just kill the mountain outright.
yep, because if this part fails, then
Then you know what
Puppy can
Ghost needs
come
to do.
in. Yep. And they do all right for themselves.
Yeah, you hit with a bunch. That looks like 9 hits.
Uh, honestly, not sure. One, two, three,
8.
8.
So the mountain's got no chance there. And I feel like I gave him away here for no real gain. I did stop that unit from getting into Joffrey, but I
No
think
real
that
Clegane.
it was not really, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't think that Joffrey was under super threat. I think I was just a little overly cautious.
Yeah. And then Ghost is like, I'm gonna go up here. And I'm like, oh, wait, we actually measured this, right? How far forward can I get, Brian? Where's my limit?
Yep,
Right
and you
there.
can see the 12-inch mark. He just he goes. And so I've given up my mountain for nothing. I have given up a victory point, and essentially I've given up a 2-point deficit because you also gain one on top of that. So you're closer to winning, and that's not good for me.
Yeah, so you're at 6, and then I go up to maybe it is a 4 point because I go up to 7, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
you
it
go
must
up
be a
to
four
7
point
this turn.
objective to get all of those things on you.
Yep, I think this was
Got it.
another confusion we had is that there's 2 gold coins from the Kickstarter that are worth 3, and then there's one that looks like it could be gold, but it's yellow wooden ones from Rebel Light Studios, and
Yep.
that one is a 1 for that. So you're 1 point ahead of me. I could have been 1 point ahead of you had I just not done that.
With Clegane, yeah.
And then so you have the top of this turn and you've got a lot of options. So you play with the first you reveal a card right away because I think we get into the discussion of um
When I'm
what's a
supposed to
round
actually
and
do
what's
it,
a
yeah.
turn. And you end up throwing up uh if you control an objective with an unengaged unit, you gain 3 points this turn. So
That's the
I at
game. That's how you
least
do it.
Yep, it is. It is. You would go to 10 and it would end. So I know you have that out there, and I'm not feeling good about it because I have a lot of maneuverable stuff, but the crossbowmen are really vulnerable. The guard captain on them helps them out quite a bit, and Joffrey's unit, I if they get pinned down, they can't help anyone at all. And I don't have Clegane to go deal with things either. So the one that seems to be the most likely are those veterans at the bottom.
Yeah,
So,
so I get a disordered charge here because I decided John's unit's going to activate,
yep.
and
So
I'm going to do the chain activations with Ghost because I
you
have to
do
declare that up front.
you do make it. It's just that you said you
Disordered.
disordered.
Yep.
So you put John's unit and shuffle him to the side so that maybe that other unit can get in there.
Yep.
And you don't roll spectacularly well.
No.
That unit is weakened, so I expend that token from the 4 hits to try. Well, I think I was debating with myself whether I wanted to do it.
And then
So
you
I
did
said, yeah, let's save Joffrey everything he can get. And I think we ended up with only 2 saves after that,
something like that.
maybe
Yeah.
3.
And then this is where I got a little blind because it was two.
Yep, and I
You what you
saved
both
those no
make.
problem.
Yep. And then
And then you asked me what banners do.
yep. And then this is where I was a little blinded. I'm like, all right, Ghost is going in
Yep, you chain
to the side of
activated
that unit.
Ghost.
And what I should have done is probably go into the knights at the bottom as another
Yeah, so you
target.
can pin them down.
Yep. I
Because
think that would
pinning
have
them
been
down would make it so that it's much more difficult for me to get to um, those veterans.
yeah.
Kind of almost like locking up um, your victory condition up there. But
Yep.
you decide to you're really wanting to go into Joffrey because there's 2 points hanging out in that unit, and I think you really want them.
Yeah, and ghosts are auto wounds, right? Like you don't get
Yep,
to
there's
save
nothing
those.
I can do
So
against that. Um, so I'm still kind of just like trying to really think about what it is that I need to do this turn because I I have every decision I make is extremely important.
yeah, and all I'm thinking is just take the sword and swing back at me so that I could, because I have a watcher on the wall. So like,
Yep,
just swing at me with the swords. That way, there I can move that unit of Sworn Brothers that's in the center, please.
and
And then you
again,
measure that.
I think I'm getting into that the lull that we're seeing in table activity right now is I'm kind of like going through this reenactment of the Princess Bride, right? Where I can't like I like I said earlier, I always play assuming you have every Night's Watch card in your hand. I don't want to trigger Watcher on the Wall. Like that I
You didn't want to
100%
trigger it
do
for a
not.
different reason than what I cared about, because I just wanted that unit on the bottom to get a better facing, right? Like all I
Exactly.
want is for them to be able to march towards those knights or
Yep,
charge them.
and I don't want I didn't want the other unit of Sworn Brothers to come into Joffrey. So I didn't want something to happen that you wanted to happen just for different reasons. So I'm like,
Yep.
what the hell do I do here? Because everything needs to attack. And when you have the swords like this, you usually don't throw that opportunity away because Joffrey's unit has really quality attacks. They could just like take the swords and smash
Snuff out
Ghost.
that puppy. Yeah.
So instead, I decide to put out Pycelle to weaken John's unit,
Oh, you
or not
weakened the.
John's unit, the one that hasn't activated,
Yep.
sorry, and then maneuver them up. And this is where I get really like finagly. Um, I want to position the Knights of Casterly Rock so that you have to leave the objective to charge them, which means that essentially you're going to be giving up a charge if you don't, right? So like if you decide to not charge them, they're going to get it on you. They won't fail it. I basically am tempting you to get off that objective.
Yeah, and in this situation, I'm like, well, if I don't take the swords, he's going to take the swords, and then he's just going to get to pick. Joffrey's unit kills one thing automatically.
Yep, he just like they have 8 attacks that hit on 2s, and the critical blow sundering banner is still up, so I can easily use that and just
Yeah,
get Ghost
and
out of there. And then that could also lead to me using the maneuver banner so that I could get Joffrey a little bit further out or even get him into something that might have been taken down a little.
so this is Ghost. using 4 dice because I got swords
Yep,
and two ones.
two ones. So I'm super happy with that. I losing it's losing the whenever I can't or whenever I'm like I need to make sure that unit stays alive, right? Like I can't heal it, I can't do anything. I need to
Yet
get
I
it
didn't realize you couldn't heal it at the time, but you take the charge that you have to take because if you don't take that this turn, I'm going to.
exactly because you now I'm at the point where I can't really stymie off attacks anymore. I probably could have put Cersei down on the coin and removed one of those condition tokens, but again, you have the tactics position, so you could just put it back on. So
Yep.
now you use it, and that makes me say, okay, you don't have that card in your hand. But when you make me re-roll it, I think it looks like it really hurt them a lot.
Yeah,
They
the
didn't get a good
reroll was
re-roll.
worth every bit for me.
Yeah, they
And then
they
I
went
popped their
from
order to make you take wounds back.
yep, and I did pass. So you just took your panic
Lose
check, and I
one,
think
and then I
you
passed the
lose.
panic check.
I thought you lost one guy
I think I
because
lost.
they you roll a 6, and at -2 it's a 4. So maybe
This
it
is
was there must have been something else going on there that we might have missed, but
yeah,
also it's hard to read these dice from the way I look. I think
but
I finally noticed the problem is like autofocus is turned off on my camera, or at least on my OBS settings. So
oh
like there that could be one of the reasons why things don't look super like crisp. So I'm gonna have to
yeah.
tinker with that when we do this again.
And then we just tried to see if I can charge in the Joffrey, and Brian as accidentally just a hair away, like
It's not. It's so totally not an accident. Totally not.
just like a slight hair, and I'm like, oh, I can't get over there, so that sucks. And now I'm debating where do I go
Yeah, it's there are
because I
some.
don't want to activate anything on the board right now.
Yeah, there are some really spicy options on that tactics board left. But it's definitely like you have to choose whether you want to stop me from doing something
And
or try and help you.
I took the healing under the assumption that you could heal your Knight's Guard or your King's
Oh,
Guard,
the King's Guard, yeah.
and then I used Crasser's ability instead.
Yep, so you
And
could get that and draw a card.
yeah, so in hindsight, I should have probably taken tactics, but it is what it is. And then this is where you crowns at my unit. I'm like, oh, hey, that's a 5. Goodbye to the people I just brought back.
Yep, so I really just wanted to get the major reason for this is that I didn't think I needed the tactics board at all for this or the missive so much. Getting more cards is cool, but I wanted to get the influence on your unit so that when I force more, when you attack me, um, that Lannister supremacy could hurt a lot more.
Yep. And then
Because
I took the missive obviously and healed up a couple guys, and we're trying to figure out what you need for a charge here,
yeah, and the answer to that is a lot.
like a 6.
Yeah, it's not looking good. And they have to get back in the game quickly. Like any time, those guys are 8 points each, and it's not a unit that I want kind of dilly dallying. You know, I want to make sure that they're getting somewhere, but they did score me 6 points right away. So if they have to like idle for a turn, it's not so bad.
Yeah, and I mean worth every point. You
Yeah.
just I'm debating, do I activate them now? No, I think you're debating what you do, weren't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was really trying to figure out like how do I maneuver these guys around, and I think my ultimate decision that I end up with is that I'm going to run them essentially 15 inches with their move and then their normal march.
Yeah, because you
So
figure being in my back arc is better than trying to charge into my side.
yeah, I've got options here for the next turn. I can either send that other unit of Knights of Casterly Rock into the veterans to try and help get the other ones freed up, or I can go into the back of your Sworn Brothers.
Yeah, so my vets are going do well for themselves.
Yeah, this is trying to really hoping for not bad saves here. So I think I fail a ton, and you don't even need to use or you decide to
Yeah,
not use the vulnerable token.
yeah,
I
because
only passed like 3.
yeah, and it wasn't worth the reroll to me. And then you were panicked. I make you reroll you had like a 1 and a 5 or something like that. I make you reroll it, the 5, it comes back up a 5 anyway. So now I have to worry about this Lannister supremacy garbage.
Yep. So
And
it
I
looks
think I
like you
rolled a
take.
9, so I lost 1.
Yep. Not a ton of casualties, but everything you've healed in that unit is basically gone now. And I think I made you re-roll because you had
You
a
did, because I
panic
was
token as
panicked.
well.
And worked out well for you.
Yep. Because I did hear me roar, I think.
Is that what that was?
Yeah, because I played Hear Me Roar because I wanted to give you another negative to it, and then I said, "Oh, I have the crown. You're panicked also, so re-roll the 5 or
That
6
check.
or
Yeah.
something that you rolled," and that
I
ended
think
up
you made me
doing a
reroll
lot,
both.
probably, and that ended up doing a lot more damage to that unit.
Yeah, you got 4 more guys.
Yep. Hear Me Roar is just a really neat card when it comes up because it seems to come up when you least expect it. So my crossbowmen are just taking a maneuver action here just so that they can position to get a line. They have a bead on Ghost and Jon's unit because
Yeah.
one of the other things that's happened over the course of this game is I picked up the card that says, if I kill your commander, I get 4 points. And that could really
Spice it up. Yeah.
skyrocket me to a bit more comfortable position in this game. But
Yeah.
I happen to be playing against one of the commanders who's probably the most difficult to kill in the faction. That's the most difficult to wipe out, especially since my knights are often, skipping in the they're checking out the view of the ocean or whatever it is back there.
Yeah. And so maneuver, pivot a little bit. I need a 2. Rolling 2, taking away the lowest. What you got?
Yep, and I don't think you disorder this one, but I'm not
We'll
100%
see
sure.
here in a second. Do I re-roll? I sure did disorder that one.
Yeah, I guess so. So every charge across that pond has been disordered or bog,
And then you
sorry.
make me re-roll, and I come out with 3 because I rolled 1 6, so it would have been 5. And then
Yep.
you make me re-roll, and it comes out to 3 or 4.
Yeah, it looks like 4, and I save all all of them, and then you make me
Yep.
re-roll them, and I
And then you
lose
save
2
2.
more, which isn't really where I want to be. I liked passing all my saves. um, so now I
Yeah.
am like,
So
okay, well, finally now I can attack with Joffrey.
yeah, and right now I'm really upset that Ghost whiffed those rolls because that's a dead commander.
Yep, and I could go into Ghost here with Joffrey because 8 dice, there's a good chance that Ghost bites it. Um, however, I with that killing your commander card in my hand, I want to put some attacks into Jon's unit, especially since I still have the critical blow sundering banner that I just popped.
Yeah,
I
I
am
think you were also
weakened.
worried about me having the keep Ghosts alive card
Yep, exactly. If you're
so that
like
I
you
would get
pass
my
a panic
activation
check or
back.
something.
Yeah,
hmm
because
So I
Ghost auto
miss
passes.
I miss with 1. So you're looking at 7 hits, and I'm like, I got this weakened token here if you want to use it. And I think you're kind of like hemming and hawing about it.
Why would I hem and haw? Like re-roll that.
I don't know. So I re-roll again, and I think it actually gets worse for you
It
because of
got
the quick
worse for
blow.
me.
So it went from like 7 hits to 11,
9 or
9.
yeah,
It could be 9. I think 9's more
I think it was
realistic.
9 is what I just rolled or what I grabbed for dice anyway.
Yeah, it looks like
Yeah, you
that's
went
about
from
9.
7 to 9, and then I failed 5, 6, failed
6 of them,
6. I'm like, well,
maybe
that was
even
cool.
7.
I liked having a unit there.
Yeah, that. So I'm feeling pretty good about the killing the commander card in my hand. Like I think that I have I have like confidence that
Yeah, and then
that Joffrey might be able to get because I do have the top of the turn.
yep.
So there's that. Um,
Yeah, and then on the
it's a
successful
toughie.
check, I went through and did John's ability, which I keep doing is I keep thinking it's just auto 2 wounds like Eddard.
hmm
It's not. It's D3.
Yep, he's not quite that Starky.
Not quite that Starky.
So I think I pitched um not fealty to the crown, but I think it's a Lannister always pays his debts or something like that. Because if I lose a unit this turn, which there's a good chance I will, I really don't care. I just want to dig deeper in my deck to try and get something to help Joffrey out. Like if I found my other I am the king, I would be okay with that because then I'd be throwing 10 dice. I'm still hitting on twos, but at least I'm throwing 10 dice at that unit.
Yeah.
I also don't think that the Knights of Casterly Rock are in a sorry there,
So-
are in a bad position to charge.
No, they're in a good spot. Like they're gonna get wherever they need to go, except to
Yeah.
Ghost.
But I take Pycelle on the swords instead, and maybe the better call here was to activate the Knights of Casterly Rock first and just let you keep it. But I took the swords because I wanted Ghost.
Yep.
Um,
Because Ghost auto kills those guys basically.
yep,
If
and
you
I
let
think
me have it.
I was hoping for. I was like, okay, if I kill Ghost, Ghost is gonna auto kill me unless
Yep.
he rolls ones again.
And then
But
you go ahead.
I did counterplot something here.
Yeah, I tried to play John's card to keep Ghost alive,
Hmm.
and I chose not to make you re-roll your crossbows because I don't remember like why that would be a thing that I did. That was just dumb.
Yeah,
And
the
then
crossbows didn't roll their weaken die, and I think I specifically had
you
asked you
did.
if you wanted to use the weaken token here, and you did not. You
I
declined.
chose not to, yeah. And then so that happened. And then this is the one I think where when you kill a model, we get points now.
Yeah, I
Is
think
the
there it was.
global
Yeah, the
objective.
global one is if you kill a model, you get a point. So
And
Ghost
so
was worth 1 at least. So now I'm sitting at 8, and you're sitting at 8 as well.
or I'm at yeah, 8 is what
So
it
we're
says down there. I thought it was 9.
I think it is going to be 9 very soon.
Yeah, and so then I used stupidly used and now its watches ended on Ghost, so I have the sword card
Yeah.
back, and I'm like, oh, I won't have any opportunity to actually use that.
Yep. You just
Why
got
did
your
I do
sword out of it.
this? Yeah,
I
I'm
think
like,
is when you get to the end, the lower parts of these games. So I think we're on turn 4 now, and it's really
yeah,
tight still. It's easy to get lost in the motions of the game.
yeah, and I'm like, when you look at the board, I've got 2 units that are really poised to get taken the
Yep,
off the board,
they are not sitting
and
pretty.
I would have activated something before then had I just held that card, right?
Hmm.
So then I'm like, I need to kill Joffrey's unit.
Yep,
So
and
what can I do to make that better?
what I was really hoping here with the ghost thing is like I'm trying to trust the Kingsguard, the one that's left, who I think gets it might be Boros Blount that's sitting out there, so not the greatest one to put my hopes in. Um, but I want I want to hope that I can pass at least all of the saves except for one maybe. Like I'll be fine if I lose a Kingsguard, but I don't want to lose Joffrey.
Yeah, so I make you vulnerable, and the debate was the unit on my left, the Sworn Brothers without John. They are weakened. So do I go with them, get to roll 7 dice, and then have to re-roll my successes, or do I go with the 5
With the sword on him too.
with well, the sword is just to make you weakened.
Oh yeah, because you don't own the swords. I have them.
Yep,
Or vulnerable is what you did to me.
yep.
So I've got
Um,
5 saves, no criticals from you, and I I fail. I pass one and fail 4 of them. So this
yep.
is not looking super good for me, but I have a trick up my sleeve, and
And
it's
then
I am the or the is it I am the king? Yeah, I think it's I am the king. I
where you
needed to roll a
automatically block.
3
Yeah,
and I didn't. I rolled a 2. So they died to the body.
and you even asked me like, do you want me to re-roll this one success? And I'm like, no, it's one success. Why would I do that? And then you just like boom down with that card, and I'm like, oh, that's a really good reason to make you do that.
Yep. And now the Jon Snow's unit with that whole activation, Jon Snow becomes he gets out of my
Really hard for you to get to. That
yep.
was the goal.
So I think looking
And then I
back on
make it
it
a
and
little
watching
harder
this
right
game,
there.
I believe that the better call would have been to just not take the swords right away and activate those Knights of Casterly Rock to charge John in the butt and just get him gone. I think that would have been the better play for the game.
And then we trade commanders.
Yep. And then it's like, yes, you'll get your 2 points, 3 points out of that, but I'll get 5 out of it. And that puts me at a little bit more of an advantage right now. So here go these guys. Sad and sad.
Yeah, coming
So you
into
can
the
see where, based on where John was, they would have only needed to make maybe a 1 or 2 inch charge to get to him. Like they need to roll a 1 or 2.
yeah.
So I disorder on 1 die here, and so it's not looking super great for these guys. Um, but I can try and close the gap a little bit. Like you scored 3 points total off of killing Joffrey's unit because it's 2 points for him and 1 for the round. So you've taken a pretty decent head start out of me right now. Like you went 3 points up. I need to make them up somewhere.
Yep. And I've got a card that if I stay on objectives, I can just sack my action.
Yep.
Like, look at how devastating that charge was.
Well,
Just
the charge
disgusting.
wasn't so bad, but the panic check sure was.
That's part of the charge, Brian.
Yep. I was actually like, I think it was with them not being able to reroll, they didn't hit a bunch, but enough to take a handful of models off. But then that double ones again on that panic check just really hurt.
Yep. And you're like, oh, you might be within range of the tree. And I'm like, I'm not within range of that tree.
Yeah.
Don't get my hopes up like that.
It's really hard when you've got that thing about the size of a pizza and you're just like, everything's in range of this. And then you're like, nope, I'm actually not. And you're like, well, that's shocking. That thing covers like 24 inches of the table.
So what I do here is I want to get rid of a condition. So I heal and also get heal up my other unit over down south. So I heal 3 and then heal 2.
Yep, you healed 3 into the veteran unit and then 2 into
Other way around.
other way around, sorry.
Yep. Because that way
Yeah, that makes sense. Yep.
everything that's attacked right now is pretty better fortified than what it was a second ago, is how I'm going to word that.
Yep. And I am digging deep here with Cersei. I influence the unit that's in the middle because I do have plans for trying to get rid of them. But I really need cards in order to hope for some other tools to try and help dig me out of the point difference here. Being 3 points behind isn't super bad because in this scenario you can get those points back pretty quickly. It's just there's some. I think I'm kind of getting a little like mixed up here in what I choose to do with myself for this turn.
I did the same thing. Like right there, I'm like, I'm going to retreat with these guys so I can charge into those guys' side,
Yep.
even though I have a card that straight up says, stay here, get a point.
Mm-hmm.
That way there, I could go up to theoretically 14 points if everything goes decently for me. However, instead I'm just like, yeah, no, I want charge. And I'm like, if I take the crown zap, then, maybe that does something for me on the someone somewhere. Brian's out of NCUs, so I feel, yeah, Cersei's not going to crown zap me, so I got that going for me.
Yep. So I do back up the crossbows here and shoot into the unit that you had moved off the objective just now. And this is where you use the weaken token. They still hit with 5 shots, but you block 2 of them. So you're still taking 3. And I think you save 1 of those. Yep, it looks like you save 1.
Yep. And then I rolled 10 on my leadership check.
Yep, I was really hoping for a fail here with you being -2 from Cersei. It's definitely not what I wanted to have happen because I do want to kill that unit to get the points from them. And I believe there might have been one other card in my hand that allowed me to get points from killing units, but I can't quite remember.
Yeah, and then I just, we'll heal John's unit up. And this is where I played that card. If you're on an objective, just sack your action and, get a point.
And I think you stuff the action on the veterans, right?
Nope. I decide, you know what, I only need to do 4 wounds down there in order to
you get a point either way, yeah.
To kill them, and then I get a point. And that takes away one of your activations because that's all you got left.
Yep, because if anyone at home is counting, this is the last unit that Brian has to activate. And there's something really important about that.
And I'm like, 4 wounds, I get 7 dice, crit blow. Yeah, let's try it.
Yep, and the knights have a 3+ save, so it's not the worst.
So you make me take a leadership check here.
For intrigue and subterfuge, I was really hoping to shut Gren off on this one, and it was a card in my hand that I had to burn, so I might as well use it. But I think you passed pretty easily.
I did. I got a 9. And I was checking because I had John's heal card. I'm like, I can't heal anybody, so whatever. Here we go.
Yep, and there's I force the weaken
Yep, that was a really
because
good
it was
force.
many sixes.
There was like 3 6s.
So there's 6 saves, no sixes. Oh no, there's one
7
6 and it's
saves.
7. So that unit,
And then I make you reroll your successes that time, even though technically you had the 4 that needed to happen.
yep.
But I'm like,
But
yeah, I'm not risking you having that stupid card in your hand again. And you're like, oh, I didn't have one anyway, so you don't matter.
yep, and the problem with this is I believe, and this is another rule I didn't check, I believe when you have no more activations on the table, um, you don't get a turn. And the card that I have in my hand that was hopefully going to kill that last unit of John's is You Will Obey Me, or I Am the King. I can't remember my own cards, but it's the one that forces a panic test on a unit. Um, Traitors, I will have their heads. Geez. And I wanted to use that on that unit that's only got 4 left. It wouldn't have like closed the game up for me or put it in my favor, but it would have just given me a couple more points. And since I always play with that tournament perspective, I'm trying to capitalize on as many
Yep.
control points as I can.
And that's why, like I said, that unit shouldn't have moved. They should have stayed where they were, sacrificed their action, and then that's that.
Exactly. So I think that Winds of Winter game definitely showcased some unique responses um, to the game mode in general. I think that I was definitely in a position to lose that on turn 3, but we were able to dig it out and drag it along till turn 5. I think that we ended on.
And say
So
losing that unit on the top of one was made me think that I was also in a position to lose that.
yep, and I really do think that it is the Winds of Winter scenario super comes down to just having a versatile, or not a versatile list, but a list that can adapt really well.
Yep, I agree
And
with
I
that
think
statement.
that cavalry is extremely important in that. Survivable cavalry at that too. So for you,
I'm
with your list, you had just an abundance of units that were really good at what they did.
Yep.
So I think that the Night's Watch almost is like with the way their list plays normally or the way their lists are built is just normally suited for a Winds of Winter game.
Yeah, with like one minor exception of the only reason why I was able to score those 4 points is Joffrey's cards came out, right?
Exactly. Yep.
So normally I would have had to hold on to that for like one more turn than normal
Mm-hmm.
because I'm only getting them so quick. But I did enjoy this Winds of Winter a lot because it kind of showcased how the game goes when it's not one person getting all the scoring cards. All of the scoring cards we had that come up as the general one were ones that both of us could do as long as there was counterplay to it, like have horses and missive. Well, I'm going to grab one of those so that you don't get both for 3, right?
Yeah, because you almost it forces your hand at that point. You know, you've got to take at least one of them, and then if your opponent claims it too, then you at least even out that turn. So definitely an interesting scenario, a good game all around. So look forward to the next one where I think we'll roll up not Winds of Winter, but I think we're not done talking about this one. We'll definitely be hitting it up in a future podcast.
Yeah, I do love me some scenario play. And I feel like that's a good scenario. It plays well.